All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. It is me, OC Steve, and so here's some groundbreaking geek news. There is a problem stemming in Hollywood, and I think that it has a lot to do with mainstream media having a fear of gingervitus. Now, you're probably not familiar with it, so let me break it down for you. Gingervitus is a horrible disease that forces those who suffer from it to avoid the sunlight, as it is harmful to their unpigmented skin. If you suffer from gingervitus, you may be known as a ginger kid. Symptoms include red hair, light skin, and freckles. Some people have had red hair, but not light skin and freckles. These people are called daywalkers. To learn more about the subject, watch the Ginger Kids episode of South Park. This is directly from the Urban Dictionary, and I think that this has become the new playbook in modern day Hollywood. Now, the reason why I bring this up is I'm talking about it jokingly, tongue-in-cheek. There's a lot of people that want to die on that hill that are mad that people like Zendaya or MJ or a version of Mary Jane, I'm sorry, they're going to adapt it for a modern day audience. This Mary Jane, has been played by Kirsten Dunst. We had Emma Stone play Gwen Stacy in the Andrew Garfield Spider-Mans. Nobody really batted an eye at that, but suddenly we get to this and everybody's losing their lunch. So I don't really get what's going on, but I think the only explanation for it is gingervitus. Now, recently, Game of Thrones actress, and also she played Ghost in Ant-Man and the Wasp, Hannah John-Kamen has been announced to be the most recent actress to don maybe the chainmail bikini to portray Red Sonja. This has been a movie that has been long in developmental hell because we haven't really seen any theatrical properties from it since 1985. Robert Rodriguez tried in 2009 to bring Red Sonja to the big screen with Millennium and that studio, but it kind of fell apart yet again and fell into the trap of being in developmental hell once again. It's just a property that always has a failure to launch. But apparently now they got an actress who has some fantasy under her belt with Game of Thrones, has been in a Marvel major event film. She will be portraying Red Sonja. Now, the last version of this movie came out in 1985, produced by the legendary Dilo De Laurentiis, and also starred Brigitte Nielsen as Sonja in the title. If that name is familiar, Brigitte has been on reality TV recently. She's been connected to Flavor Flav, but mostly she's known for her modeling career, and she also had a lot of roles in the 80s. She played Ivan Drago's wife in Rocky V and some other Rocky films, or Rocky IV, and then also portraying Red Sonja, the title character of the series. Arnold Schwarzenegger was in this movie too. This is a film that took place after Conan the Destroyer. And in this movie, because of licensing agreements and problems there, he played Lord Caldor, which is, for all intents and purposes, is Conan. Now, Sandra Bergman, if that name is familiar, she played Valeria in Conan. Good old Ms. Bergman decided to not play Red Sonja in this film. She decided to play the villain. She was going to have a little more fun portraying somebody that was a little more conniving and killed all of Red Sonja's family as Queen Greedon. And then we also had Paul L. Smith as Falcon. And then martial arts marvel Ernie Reyes Jr. was in this movie as Prince Tam. If he's familiar, he was in The Last Dragon. Obviously, he was in Red Sonja. He's also been Donatello as the stuntman for Ninja Turtles 1, 2, and potentially even the greatest film of the 1990s, Surf Ninjas. He was in that as well. So this didn't have, it had a mediocre cast. It also was a huge box office bomb in 1985. It cost almost $18 million to make, and it barely made $7 million. Critics railed this movie left and right just because of how crazy it was. And it's pretty much from the creator of Conan. It's a side character from Robert E. Howard, and it's set in his fantasy age known as the Hyborian Age, which is kind of this Marvelific, like pre-Dark Ages time of swords and sorcery. So it's in the Conan universe. We even have the guy that's Conan but he's not in the movie himself. So it was weird. It came out in July of 85. Like I said, it was a box office bomb. Siskel and Ebert trashed it. Even in regards to a response, Brigitte Nielsen won some Razzies that year for Best New Upcoming Actress. Now, if you understand, the Razzies are not a compliment. It's actually a tongue-in-cheek award where they give it out to an actress that didn't perform well or was awkward on screen and just kind of killed the movie during filming. And she got it for this and also Rocky IV at the same time. So it's just a weird thing. They always try to bring out these properties, and it's almost been dead for now, I don't know, almost 40 years. Like, why all of a sudden do you want to resurrect this property? We've seen it in other shapes and forms, and they kind of take the strong female sword, sellsword character, and they've adapted it well. The last time that it wasn't Red Sonja was Xena Warrior Princess, and that was done, and it was good, and Lucy Lawless had a great career off of it, and it was a launching pad for her for many other opportunities. But I just don't get what they're going to do with this that's going to make it different. They tried with Conan in 2011. Aquaman himself did his own rated R version of Conan, and it just doesn't compare to the original that came out in 1982 with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It was a great story. He had James Earl Jones at his height playing Falsa Doom, and it just hit all the marks. It had a sound fantasy story where it had comedy, it had action, it had suspense, it had grotesque characters that you just wanted to hope Conan would destroy and overcome. And at its core, it was a strong revenge story as well. The only thing I could really see them taking from the 1985 version of Red Sonja is kind of like the basis of the core of where she gets her powers. Her family was slaughtered at the hands of Queen Gridden, and Sonja scarred her. That was kind of the whole reason that she killed Sonja's family, is because she killed this great visage of this beauty of the queen. So then Sonja had to go into hiding and seclusion, and she prayed to this red goddess that appears out of nowhere and gives Sonja heightened strength, stamina, agility, and fighting skills on the mere condition that she never lie or have sexual relations with a man unless he defeats her in combat. So I could see maybe Hannah not having the red hair and being a young kid and then getting the blessing of the red goddess, and that's hence why we're going to get Red Sonja. But that's kind of what I see them only really taking from that. I don't know what they're really going to do with this movie, because Sonja has been kind of a character that's kind of existed in comic book and pop culture obscurity. Dynamite Comics has recently done a lot of work with her to bring her back. But other than that, there hasn't really been a lot of fans clamoring for Red Sonja. So yes, Gingervitus is real. It is running rampant in Hollywood. They are afraid of keeping ginger characters and just replacing them at a moment's notice, because they're probably afraid that they will get freckles, that they will get red hair, and they won't be able to walk in the sunlight. So that's my thoughts for now. I hope you're doing well. As usual, always keep the discussion going in the comments below. Let me know what you thought about Red Sonja, what you enjoyed about the 1985 films. Are you a fan of Conan the Barbarian and Conan the Destroyer? I think in my new series called Toxic Masculinity, I will be discussing at least one of the Conan films, probably the first one, because I'm more of a fan of that. I can probably remember that better than Conan the Destroyer, other than Conan the Destroyer coming out in 84, it being PG, and also having Wilt Chamberlain in it as Boombada. That's really the only footnotes that I care to talk about Conan the Destroyer, but I will talk about Conan the Barbarian in my future movie review series called Toxic Masculinity, where we're going to talk about movies that in this day and age you could not put out a theater as is that they were in the 1980s. You couldn't put out Commando. You definitely could not put out a film. Even Die Hard would be even sketchy in this day and age as well. So I'm going to talk about some of those movies that I enjoyed watching as a kid. They are, as I've mentioned before in other videos, it is movie comfort food. They're not great movies by any standard. They're not good movies by any standard, but they're a great movie to watch and participate in and turn your brain off for 90 minutes and just have some full throttle octane fun. So that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. It's a little labor of love, but I enjoy making these videos to be thought-provoking, provide some commentary, and just have a good time in this day and age of pop culture. Catch you on the next one.